Hollywood and pursue my acting career. I thought other girls are taking my roles. I thought I was getting older because you can't get any younger in Hollywood. I thought I was missing out on so much, and I'll never forget crying in my bedroom one night, and my mom told me something that will forever be ingrained in my mind, and still is to this day, that no one is taking your spot, they're just waiting for you to arrive. So with that said, I was moving rapidly, and we come to a Wednesday, and for the many appointments I was having, I was at a heart and lungs test at UPenn when I received a phone call that I was to have my final audition for a movie that I had recently auditioned for in Philadelphia, and I was supposed to have that final audition the next day, on Thursday, in New York City. That day, I'm supposed to start my chemotherapy appointments. And when I told my mom, she knew something was up when my face dropped. And when I told her, she said, "You're going." And I called my doctor, Dr. Nasta, and I told her the situation, and she said, "You're going. We'll push the chemotherapy appointment to Friday." So I drive back from Philly that day, and the next day to New York with my dad. I auditioned. We hit John's Pizza in Times Square, and then I drive back. At this point in my life, this was the biggest audition I had ever had to date. It was the first audition that I ever had post-college. So I'm driving home to reality, about to face the fact that I'm going to be injected with 4 different poisons to kill this cancer, and that I was going to lose all my hair. Now, the director, who was in my final audition, isn't casting for a hairless basketball player, and he didn't expect that, so it wasn't part of the script. So for my first chemo appointment, I'm sitting there, and this is all foreign to my parents, and I were not saying much, and I was very sensitive at this point in my life. At the drop of a dime, I could have cried at anything, and they were scared for saying anything wrong to me at the time, because I really could have cried at any moment. I was always wearing hats. I called myself the hardest soft-shell crab that you would have ever met in 2007. And as we're sitting there, my mom points out a sheet cake that was sitting on the nurse's station celebrating a patient's last day of her chemo treatments. And there was one piece of cake left on it, and it said the word Shank. The role I was auditioning for was to play the role of All-American basketball player Teresa Shank. So take that for what it's worth. We had no idea what it meant, but for those of us that believe everything happens for a reason, we went home that day and couldn't stop thinking about it. We get to Saturday, and I get the call that I got the role of Trish Sharkey. So, you know how they say actors lie for a living? Well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to wait until I signed my contract to tell the director. I didn't know if I wanted to get a killer wig and keep the secret between the hair and makeup people and myself. So I didn't know when or if I should have told the director, because there's no way that I was going to give up this role to play a basketball player as an actor. It was my major in college, and it's what I went to college for. So those two passions combined were the best thing that could have ever happened during that bittersweet time. So I had my dad call the director, because I was too scared to face the possible looming rejection of not being able to do this because of all the physical activity required of me during this movie. I play a basketball player, and I was one of the main girls on the team, so I knew that I would be required to do so much during this film. And surprisingly, as you can see, he said yes, and he allowed me to be part of it. And the first question that he asked me was, "What does this mean for you in the future? I don't care about the role, you still have the role." That's all I heard on that conversation. I'm not quite sure how the rest went, but I knew that I had the role still. And this role took priority, and this job took priority, and turned the life-threatening illness into an inconvenience, because I was so focused on this movie and the filmmaking process and being on set. I was focused on acting and meeting other actors and working with Ellen Burstyn and Carly Gugino, who you saw, and David Boreanaz from Bones, who some of you may know, and not this cancer holding me back. The Mighty Max tells the story of the first women's national championship basketball team out of Immaculata College, which was an all-girls Catholic school in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and they went on to win the 72, 73, and 74 national championships.